I'm here in a beautiful forest with some rivers going on to test out this 2-in-1 filter to see if it's any good or not, if it's worth buying or not. Good morning and welcome to the channel. Today we are in the Ardennes in Belgium. It was a 2-hour drive. I took the family with me and we are staying here on a camping. I got so cold this night I couldn't sleep because I was sleeping in the front side of the tent. It was a difficult night, but I'm up. I'm searching for my first composition now to test out this filter. We're gonna test out if it's any good or not. First I'm gonna test out if the polarizer is working or not. The polarizer seems to work. I can see a little bit through the water. So now you can see we got a lot of reflection onto the water. But if I turn a little bit further in the foreground, it's disappearing. Something like this. So the polarizer is working, so that's already a great beginning. And this filter goes from 3 stops till 7 stops darker. Now it's at 3 stops and my camera is telling me I have to go for 3 seconds. So I'm gonna test it out and see if it's any good or not. It's actually not too bad, so I'm gonna push it a little bit further. Now I'm at 5 stops. The camera is telling me I have to go to 13 seconds. Apparently 13 seconds is a little bit too long. I got a lot more highlights on some rocks. I'm gonna try this again at 10 seconds and see if it's a little bit better. That we have a little bit less harsh highlights in this picture. This is the one with 10 seconds and this is the one with 13 seconds. Not a lot of difference, but a little bit more movement in the 13 seconds. I think it's because I moved down with the stops, because it's a 2-in-1. Maybe the polarizer effect also changed a little bit because I've moved my stops down. That's what we're gonna test out today. But I just found a cool little, very small waterfall. So I'm gonna check it out, if I can make a good composition out of it or not. I got a composition dialed in. Gonna put the filter onto the lens and I hope we can do this waterfall some justice. I'm shooting this with the Tokina 11 to 60 millimeters because I wanted to include something into the foreground. The stones here in the foreground of the lens are looking very prominent into this picture because the lens is so wide. Now I'm gonna play with the polarizer again and see if we can get rid of that glare. Like this. Now I'm gonna see what my camera is telling me to shoot at. f11 ISO 100 and 1/60th of a second. With the 1.6 seconds you still can see the movement of the water flowing. Now I'm gonna bump up the stops to have a longer shutter speed and see if it's gonna be a cool effect or not. Like I told with the previous shot, I thought when I put the stops down the polarizing effect is also shifting. I've bumped up my ISO super high so we can look when we're pushing down the stops. And you can see in the foreground the glare is coming back when I'm pushing down the stops. So now I have to turn again. So now the glare in the foreground is gone. So that means every time you push down the stops, you have to adjust your polarizing effect again, so you don't have that glare in your pictures. Oh shit! Got water in my shoe. The stone here is very slippery. That didn't work. Just put my lens in manual focus because the stops are down. Because now there's a lot less light coming into the lens, so it can be that the camera is having some troubles finding a clear spot to focus on. So ISO 100, shooting at f11. Because we got some foreground elements in this picture really close to the lens. at 8 seconds now. When I was planning the shoot, I was hoping for some sunlight to help me out with the compositions here. But unfortunately, at this moment, there's a little bit, not really overcast, but more of a dense haze in this forest. And that's a little bit blocking the sunlight shining into this forest. Maybe I came too early, but we have to work with what we get. And it's a really awesome place here. So I'm scouting around to see if I can find any compositions and use this filter a little bit more. I bought this filter with my own money to test it out, to see if it was worth spending that money onto this lens, onto this filter. I found our next composition here. We got a little bit of super small waterfalls going through those rocks. I'm trying to capture it like I'm seeing it, but I'm having a little bit of a difficult time to capture it like that, having the waterfalls prominent in this picture, because when I go a little bit wider, I'm losing the depth of field a little bit of those little streams. They're just disappearing a little bit into the background, but you can see a little bit more of nature. So I've put my Tamron 70 to 300 on it, so I'm really close now to those little streams, but we're seeing a lot less of the nature around it. And maybe I'm gonna try it with another focal length. My Tamron 70 to 300, I knew it was broken because I also noticed now on the back of the camera, I also saw that the aperture is not working because I'm shooting at f11 and there's only a little part of the picture that's really sharp. The foreground and a little bit of the background is out of focus a little bit, but at f11 there would be a lot more sharpness in this picture. That hurts a little bit. That means I have to save up a little bit money to buy a new lens, but it's also not super cheap. The picture with the Tamron I shot at ISO 100, 15th of a second. f11 was dialed in, but it's not gonna be f11 my guess, because I'm missing a little bit of sharpness in the picture. I'm gonna search for another composition with another focal length to capture this beautiful scenery, but it's not super simple to also keep the streams in the picture. So I switched to my Sigma lens, the 18 to 35, and I'm including a lot more of nature around this little streams. And also the sun is starting to shine a little bit here onto the landscape. That's very promising for the next pictures to come. And I just noticed with being a little bit further away from the water, I got a lot more reflections here in this water. I can't get rid of it with the polarizing filter. And I think it's because I'm a little bit further away from the water. I'm not super experienced with polarizing filters, so I don't know if it's normal or not. It took away a lot of the reflections, but not all of it. And I like it actually with a little bit of reflection. And then you got those little streams. At 15 seconds, it's like some silky movement into the water. So those pictures are two different pictures. I don't know if I'm a big fan of this picture, because it's showing maybe a little bit too much of the landscape, but I'm really loving this filter. It gives me a little bit more of creativity to finally have some longer shutter speeds when I'm at rivers like this. So that's super cool. So there's a Haida filter that I'm using now, the 2-in-1 circular polarizing variable ND filter. Everywhere they're selling them for more than 100 euros or more than $100. With a little bit looking around, I found it on Amazon from Holland, from the Netherlands, for 80 euros. I'm trying something else. Instead of shooting towards the little waterfalls, the river streams, and getting the water towards the camera, I'm shooting now with the water. So this is the stream. I'm shooting with the stream, and I'm using my Sigma 18 to 35 because I'm also including more of the landscape. The little stream is more of a leading line in this picture. It's not really prominent in this picture. I like this very much because the sun is shining onto this landscape. If I didn't have the sunlight and I had this little water stream here, this image wouldn't be as strong as it is now with the sunlight in it. For me personally, it feels a little bit easier when there's sunlight into the picture than without sunlight. But then again, there are a lot of photographers that can shoot amazing photos without sunlight. So that's maybe my weak point, that I can't shoot amazing photos without sunlight. So I had to shoot this vertically to have the water stream on the bottom of the picture, to have a foreground element, and then leading our eye into this picture. I was trying to play with the shutter speeds. I shot one at 15 seconds like the previous photos that I took, but I also took one at 5 seconds. And I'm gonna see on my laptop if it's better to have a little bit of a faster shutter speed than have a longer shutter speed and have a really silky water stream. On to the next composition and towards the camping to my family. Because last night I got so cold in the tent I couldn't sleep, and now I have a difficult time to process the English and give a decent explanation when I'm shooting photos. It's too hard to think without any sleep. I hope my kids could sleep a little bit. It was their first time camping. That makes it a little bit more fun for me when I can take my wife and kids with me on shoots. We can go camp somewhere. I can go shoot in the morning or in the evening. And then we can spend some time together instead of just driving 2 hours at a shooting location, driving 2 hours back. Missed a few hours of the day without my family. I took out my 15mm. I've been all morning trying to shoot a composition with the 15mm because the colors are just a little bit better and this lens is amazing. I just shot this little stream here vertically with the 50mm and I was passing by. And the sunlight was shining onto this little stream here. When I got everything set up, the sunlight almost passed away over this little stream. So I just missed the best part. It's super amazing because the sunlight is creating this beautiful patches of light. It creates for an amazing atmosphere in this picture. But I'm not 100% happy with this picture because we got a big boulder. When we are following this little stream here in the bottom here, in the bottom of the picture, it leads our eye into the picture. When we get on this little stream, there's also this big boulder and it stops our eye from going deeper into this picture. It's a nice picture, but also not that great. Let me know if you're thinking the same about this, that it's stopping the view a little bit, or there's not a lot of leading line into this picture. Maybe I was a little bit too fast making this composition and missing the beauty of this actual composition. Let me know. I've missed this so hard making videos. Oh, I've been working way too hard. So hard that I even got sick. I was 2 weeks at home because of my lung infection, and this is really giving me energy to get moving again. This is so cool. I really missed it. Right guys, one last composition before we go, because I'm back at the beginning. I think I already missed the best shot because the sun was shining onto a tree. It created for a cool composition. But now the sun is already moved on. I'm at 3 stops, the minimum of this filter. I've used a polarizer to clear out the foreground a little bit. I still got a lot of glare here in the foreground, so I have to see what's gonna happen. I'm gonna take the first shot, 6 seconds, f10, ISO 100. And it's a little bit too much highlights. I've came down to 5 stops on the filter and we are at 8 seconds now. I'm gonna bring down the filter a little bit more because we got a little bit too much highlights still going on. I'm gonna try it again at 8 seconds, but the camera says I'm half a stop underexposed. I think I'm gonna combine a few pictures together because the highlights into the frame are a lot harder than the shadows here in front of my camera. I'm also gonna shoot this vertically because I think it will look amazing. Just trying out to see if it's any good or not. The first test shot, ISO 100 again, 3 seconds at f10, not bad. I just want a little bit more movement into the water, 13 seconds, because my foreground was a little bit dark, but I got some really hard lights into the back of the frame. So if I can combine the two pictures together, it will be perfect. So this is what I'm seeing right now. The sun is much softer than in the horizontal picture, and I got this branch here as a leading line. Here in the back we got an open space where the sun is shining on some trees, so it's a really hard light, so I have to compensate it in post-processing. It's really amazing that the sunlight in the frame on the boulders is really soft now. It's less work for me because it's not a hard light, it's a very soft light, so it's easier to process it in post-processing. The cool thing about this filter is when you're using the ND filter, when you're shifting it, it says in what stop you are. So it begins at 3 stops and then it goes to 7 stops. So this is the beginning, and then you just pull it. You can go to 7 stops. Super cool. So you know where you're at your filter. I'm back at the end of the forest. I had a blast making this video. I'm so happy I'm back. I hope I will be back soon. No promises. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Instead of before there was sunlight, it was more, I had to have, but I thought it was fun to try something else and shoot towards, shoot with the water and don't. So I thought it was fun to try this, to shoot with the water into the